legalized Grand Fondo a couple months ago, CBD literally changed my life from that moment on. I started smoking it, and then as soon as Denver legalized, I was living in Iowa. I started driving back and forth monthly to get my supply. I could only buy 7 grams at a time, so I was going to like 4 or 5 different dispensaries that had CBD flower. Not everybody had CBD flower. Eventually that got me, started going to conferences to learn to meet more people. Eventually that got me into the hemp scene in Colorado. So a lot of the largest producers of CBD now, I met them when they were very young in the industry and just starting off. And so I established some very strong CBD connections and sourcing connections at that time. And that's really what started my career in this industry, because after that I started a company in Iowa. We supplied CBD to families with children who suffer from epilepsy. So I passed a very limited law for CBD only, but only if you had epilepsy, intractable childhood epilepsy, based on all the success in Colorado. But there was no way to produce it or cultivate the plant. And so the moms, once they passed this bill, and I had helped lobby for medical cannabis, they came to me and said, well, now we passed the bill, and now we have all these moms on our Facebook group calling us, how do we get the oil? And they knew I had been sourcing oil for myself for the last year. So I reached an agreement with the Office of Drug Control Policy in Iowa and the governor's office, and I started supplying these families with CBD oil, up to 30 families at one point, and then it fluctuated from there.
Which, by the way, surprises me. I'm sorry for for stereotyping, but I don't think of Iowa as being a state that's really into.
It wasn't. It was that's why I eventually left. But in 2014, sometimes I found myself in this position where I knew I was the only one getting quality CBD in the entire state, because I had gone through the process of testing all the oils and getting the COAs and figuring out heavy metals contamination and all. There's a lot of, you can't just buy any CBD product. You have to make sure that, and especially CBD right now is not regulated the way that THC is, where it's over-regulated, to my opinion, THC, but you don't test to the same degree. So you could have heavy metals in your product. You could have pesticide contamination if you're buying from the wrong brands. And I saw that early on. I was using it medically. I was using such high amounts of CBD that if I was injecting heavy metals on a daily basis in my system at that level, it would have been detrimental to my health. So it was very important to me to quality check all the oils that I was looking at. And finally, I found a few suppliers that I approved of. And the moms knew that I had gone through that process for myself, and so they trusted me. And so I got in my car and I drove around the entire state, meeting families, sitting with them for hours, making town halls to educate people about cannabis and CBD and even THC. And I did that from 2012-ish to about 2016 when I joined Papa Barkley.
Now, we know that